It's Saturday, September 7th. I'm Cameron Bailey, Artistic Director of the Toronto International Film Festival. Here's a film that'll make you laugh. It's called Supermensch, The Legend of Shep Gordon, and it's directed, surprisingly, by Mike Myers. Now, everyone knows Mike Myers as Austin Powers and a great comedian who hails from Canada originally, but he's never made a film before. This is his first documentary. It's the story of a legendary talent manager, Shep Gordon, who managed Alice Cooper and all kinds of rock bands and actors, and he came up in the late 60s and the early 70s into the 80s, which was of course the height of the rock and roll era. So this is a story of rock and roll excess, the sex, the drugs, the parties, the private jets, and the man who was at the center of it all, this crazy wild man named Shep Gordon. Mike Myers really dives in and gives you the full portrait of the excess and what this man was like. But he turns out to have a kind of a warm, fuzzy side as well. So it's a story of a man who did everything that his appetites led him to, but he also turned out to have a kind of a heart of gold. That's Supermensch, The Legend of Shep Gordon, directed by Canada's own Mike Myers. Here are two films that will turn you on. The first is by French director François Ozon and is called Young and Beautiful. And she certainly is. This is the story of a 17-year-old girl in Paris who lives in a very comfortable environment. Her parents have enough money, she has good education, but when she is on summer vacation, she loses her virginity to a German tourist and finds that that's not quite enough. So when she returns to Paris at the end of the summer, she begins life as a call girl. It's a kind of a shocking premise, but maybe not so much for French cinema. So what you see is you follow this girl as she enters into commercial relationships around sex with much, much older men. This film premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, where it caused quite a stir. Ozon is really a master of the disturbing elements of human nature, whether that has to do with sex, in some cases politics, and always most interested in the lives of women. He's got a terrific lead actress here in a young woman named Marina Bach, and she does terrific work working in a very delicate edge between drama and veering over into something that might be quite distasteful, but it never quite does that. It's a beautiful film. It's called Young and Beautiful, from the French director François Ozon. Break Loose is from Russian director Alexei Uchitel, and it centers around four friends who were in the army together. They're now part of a special police force in Moscow, and they are investigating and trying to control the Russian mafia. This is a story set both in the police world and the criminal underworld in Moscow, which can be a very violent and sexy place. One of the members of this police force falls in love with the mob boss's daughter, and of course you've got a classic setup for conflict, for violence, and for danger. Uchitel was the director of a film called The Edge, which we showed at the festival a few years ago. He's got a great sense of sort of visceral cinema. This is a film that moves at a fast pace, that's exciting, that's sexy, and that plunges you right into the heart of the conflict between the bad guys and the cops in Russia. Of course, in this movie, you're not quite sure if the cops are themselves bad guys. That is Break Loose by Russian director Alexei Uchitel.